Beautiful hearts, we are here with a quantum conversation experience. This is day one of 3 days with Jewels Arnes. She is an amazing teacher on a quantum level. And what I love about Jules is that she does her own research. She is totally dialed in to higher realms, connected with information from higher realms and beings on higher realms, and everything she brings forward is an attestment to that. So, this is a great conversation about the future is in your DNA. And today we're talking about activating the 12 technologies of ascending reality. Jules, thank you so much for being here. Welcome.
Oh, thank you, Lauren. I always enjoy our time together and I love connecting to your community because I can feel them. That's what I love about these interviews is even though they aren't necessarily with us, they are with us. You can feel everyone that's listening. So thank you for listening today.
Thank you for listening today, and we'll see you live tomorrow and Thursday, live with Jules. This is your opportunity to come on with us and feel her energy directly in a live call and ask any questions and receive an activation in tomorrow's show. Okay, thank you for that, Jules. I want to just say our audience loves the work that you do. Jules is very popular here because she just did something DMT of body ascension that was very well received. And wow, what an incredible journey. So this is another aspect of that. And so what have you been up to with this course? Can you give us the background and the backdrop for this beautiful, oh my gosh, it's been taking you over a year to fully prepare this course and its cutting edge technology on all that you do on a bio quantum level.
Oh, that was so beautifully said. Yes, so this will be so first, DMT stands for Divine Molecular Technology, and there's scalar frequencies or what I call divine technologies that are in the 12-strand DNA system. So most of us have the experience of our two-strand DNA system, which is creating what I call kind of the matrix, not just the matrix of reality, but the matrix of even our body. It's very distorted. I think we all can agree that there's a lot more to our experience than what we see within the physical, maybe even what we experience within our body, because our body right now is running on the two-strand biology. But those other 10 strands that they call junk DNA are our multidimensional system because our body is already multidimensional. And so as we kind of step into our divine molecular technology and use these technologies, because this is the really fun thing, is that our DNA is like an ascension map. It has these 12 different ladders. And as we learn to use the technologies of each of the strands, we start to activate our multidimensional being. And that ascends our consciousness, it ascends our body into the crystalline structure. And it starts to work through consciousness so that we can learn to experience reality also in a multidimensional way. Not because reality is outside of us, but because when we start to run our consciousness in through these 12 strands, we start to see that there is an intelligence that's actually using our consciousness to experience life in a different way. And some of us would say that's the new earth. Some of us will say it's the fifth dimension. And those are a different particle mechanics than what we experience in the third dimension. And so when we tap into these technologies, we start to find out just how powerful we are, and all the way from healing instantly to manifesting instantly to teleportation to telepathy. And a lot of times we think, oh, that's impossible, but it's not. We're in the beginning stages of moving into the advanced human, and these are all things that we're going to be doing. And that is what this next level is We've ascended into the crystalline structure of the body, and now it's learning what's possible once we're holding that structure.
Learning what's possible as we become crystalline. Okay, you said a lot there, and we're going to go deeper into it. What is required when we activate the crystalline structure in our body?
Yeah. All of us are already advancing. So everyone's like, well, how do I do it? And it's already happening. It's happening to everyone. And
Whether we work on it or not.
whether we work on it or not, we are shifting. And, we have a really big particle shift that is coming up in the next couple of weeks here. So I think it'll be just a few days after we meet tomorrow. On the 8th, we kind of are stepping into this really advanced state where particles of reality are shifting. And on the 12th, we are moving into a state of non-gravity. So on the 12th, we will actually be moving into a new mechanics of reality. The particles of reality will move into a state of non-gravity for 7 seconds. And when they come back into stabilization, they will be holding the mechanics of the next evolution of not just our bodies, not just our consciousness, but of reality itself. So, right now, as we have this experience, we want to learn how to use our DNA to participate in this particle shift because now more than ever, we have the ability to not only shift our body into this new particle structure, it's already going to happen. Now it's just learning how to use it, right? It's kind of like somebody giving you the keys to, this is just a funny analogy, but the keys to maybe a frequency craft, but you have no idea how to even open the door to get in. And then once you're in, you're like, I don't know how to use this thing. Well, that's how advanced our bodies are. It's just that we haven't learned how to use them yet.
I love it because we've been talking about the sacred technology of the human body. And that's why this is so beautiful because it's all within us. And
Mhm.
more will be revealed in our abilities. I find that many people are like, how do we turn on our gifts? How do we do it? And you are discovering something unique that everybody has their own ascension map. Can you tell us about that? What does that mean? Like we're all coded differently. Talk
Mhm.
more about this.
Yes. So, what I love about the Ascension map is that, we all have 12 strands of DNA, and each strand of DNA has multiple technologies in it. They're all doing many different things, all the way from shifting from identity of what we would call a personality into a divine identity, which is what we would call an avatar. Each of the strands are holding abilities to activate certain frequencies to overcome illusions or what we would call programming, looping cycles, like life and death is one of those looping cycles. So each of the technology is holding like a wisdom or an intelligence that is shifting the way that we perceive reality. And so this personal ascension map is based on the time, the date, and the place that you were born. And the biggest part of shifting out of what we would call the two-strand DNA system is to release the attachment to time because gravity, slow-moving particles, and our connection to time is a big part of what keeps us in the linear timeline of biology or staying in that two-strand instead of shifting into the 12. And so, what this ascension map does is it goes to the exact moment that you were connected into the linear timeline. So, what star system you were connected to, your astrological sign, if you will, and the timestamp and where. So, what the ascension map does is it brings all of that back into the 12-strand DNA system, and it realigns it and gives it this very specific code so that your consciousness can connect into the 12-strand DNA system to release all of the distortion that was created in the moment that you were time stamped or put into the two-strand DNA system. So each of the codes gives you a divine identity that you came here to experience. So, just some examples of those would be a divine messenger, a divine inventor, like somebody that's here to bring. I am one of those
You're
people.
one of those. Yes.
Is
Yes.
that you bring in what's brand new, right? You're bringing in the cutting edge technologies and different ways of kind of bringing the third dimension into the fifth. So you have kind of that identity of what you're here to ascend, if you will. And then you're given a divine purpose. So, on a purpose level, some examples of what that would look like on a DNA structure would be that you're here to break the looping cycle of life and death. I mean, there are people that are walking the earth that they know that that's what they're here to do. Some of them are walking the earth that their purpose is to ascend the way that the mirror neurons are connecting us into looping with the frequency of our environment. Like, how many people walk into a room and when they leave, they feel exhausted because their body lowered to the frequency of the room. So there are people that are here and their purpose is to actually recreate the structure of the DNA where their frequency is held in their home frequency or in their divine frequency. So you're gonna, in the map, you get your avatar, your purpose, what looping cycle you're here to master. You're also, and I love this one, is that you are here to master one of the universal laws. So, how many of us, let's say, I mean, let's just take the law of attraction. And we, in this third dimension, that we have this, well, with the vibration that I'm holding is going to be the vibration of my reality. And I think if we all asked ourselves if that's true in the third dimension, we would say, yes, it is. But when we have an ascension map, we're here to actually master that law. And what we find when we master that law is that it's not the fluctuation of the frequency that our consciousness or even our subconscious is holding, but it's learning to activate that strand of DNA that is holding that law so that it becomes a divine law, because in divine law, there is no law. And then you learn to master particles of reality, not because of your mini me or the ego self, but the intelligence of source shows you what the law of attraction is without distortion. And so it becomes a map of mastery. The other thing you get with the Ascension map is that you have a technology within the DNA that is there to support your journey of ascension. And for some people, that will be telepathy. For some people, that will be instant manifestation. We all are born with a technology that is there to support. One technology is, trying to think, a really fun one that somebody just had. Oh, timeline shifting. So it was mastering timeline shifting. So they get to be really, really fun. And then the last code of your technology is that you'll learn what your portal body point is. So there's an actual body point that you can press and it activates your ascension map. So the more, every time that you need support or you just need to kind of turn on the higher operating system of the body, that you have a portal that you can press on and it will activate those frequencies in your DNA.
Wow. All right. That is the ascension map that you are offering. And that's part of a bigger program. So if anyone just wants to get their ascension map, I think we all need that, right?
Yeah.
I think we all need that to know the portal point for our ascension on the body. That's fabulous. To know what universal law we are here to master. That's so helpful. Because so, don't you think so many of us could get taken down the wrong direction, spending time down the wrong direction if we're not meant to master the law of attraction, then we're missing out on that other law that we're here to master, which could just be the cycle, the cycle law, right? What are some of the laws that you're familiar with that you're seeing pop up for people to master?
Yeah, that's giving me chills. I'll give you an
Yeah.
example of how the ascension map could what could look like. I have a woman that I was working with, and so she had her leaping cycle was the life and death cycle. And then she had the law of action. And then her technology was purification of particles. So I won't go into all of it, but there was one part also that she was here to master manifestation. And so, what was showing up in her life is that she would kind of start projects, and then she would have this the program that she was here was lack. It's not going to work. Like, so it's all connected. So, how it was connected is that she would get to the top right when she was about to have it move into form and she put all the work in. But then, because her leaping cycle was connected to lack in the life and death, she would sabotage it and it would die before it actually ever was brought into to life or form. And so what she would do is she was activating her purification technology. So when she was in creation, she kept purifying her programming and purifying what it was she was working on. And then how she mastered the law of action is that she would only take action if it was divinely led and purified. So by the time it was ready to take form, it was holding a very pure frequency. Well, you can imagine what that would be like. And I will tell you that once that is mastered, and she is just in the practice of it now, and already she's starting to be shown that this really is how you master manifestation, is having pure intention, purifying the journey allows it to move into a space where it can take form without sabotaging it.
Wow. I think every one of us listening and watching are so intrigued by this. Like this is our I don't want to say marching orders because that's a little militaristic, but this is our roadmap. This is a guide to how we navigate these times, how we navigate the internal sacred technology within the body. Wow. It is it's beyond human design. It's beyond the gene keys. I know it's all related, but these
Mhm.
are almost like ascension keys, and you call it the ascension map. All right. So I want to just make a short little plug for this right here because I know people are like, I want that. How do I get it? So it's here on this web page. Everyone is invited to check it out and to learn more about it. How long does it take for someone to get this ascension map once they order it?
Yeah, so once you order it, you'll need to email your birth time, or it'll be your sun. Basically, what we're needing is your sun, moon, and rising sign, because again, that's how the ascension map will be calculated, and it's calculated a little bit different than just that. So what we actually ask for is your birth date, your birth time, and your birthplace. And some people aren't sure of their birth time, and so we just ask to, your closest guesstimate, and we can work with that. So it will be plugged into a very specific system that we have that will calculate your map, and then we'll mail it back to you. You'll get it within 48 hours. And then what we also are going to do is run it into what we call our DMT transmission. We call it that a frequency map. So we're taking your ascension map, and thank you for saying that. I'm just going to plug in right here that with the human design and gene codes, and I don't know a lot about those, but what I do know about them is that they don't really, they're very concrete. It's like once you have it, and that's what it is. With the ascension map, you are constantly ascending through the codes. They are always evolving as you evolve because it will evolve your consciousness as you're evolving in your body. So they're alive and they're living and they're constantly activating and shifting your concept of reality or the perception of consciousness. Once we have your map, we're going to put it into our DMT software system. And what that does is it downloads your map and then it shifts to transmitting very specific frequencies based on your ascension map of how your cells are dividing. And so, what it's going to do is going to break down your map and it's going to show you things like what epigenetic code you're most likely to have activated. And it starts to turn the frequency on so that your cells start to express frequency of source instead of maybe an epigenetic code. It's going to show you things like emotional looping cycles, and it's going to start to transmit frequencies through those emotions so that your body stabilizes in a divine frequency versus emotion. So it's doing it and how your cell is actually dividing. So over a 21-day period of time, you can think about how many times your cell divides. It is transmitting these frequencies through each level of cell division. So by the time the cell is fully divided, that it's holding this new frequency pattern. And so you'll receive that for 21 days.
Wow. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for this. Again, we invite our viewers to check it out right there on this page that you're watching this event on. All right. Thank you. So, what is the relationship between our DNA and consciousness?
Oh, this is like my jam right now. I mean, it is the most fascinating part of ascension because consciousness, everything is consciousness, consciousness. And when we start to learn and experience that consciousness is not who we are, it is actually a limitation of who we are. And what I mean by that is that our consciousness can be used in two different ways. And most of us have been taught to use consciousness as awareness and identity. So when we become conscious of something, we become aware of it, and then we name it. And then we wrap our consciousness around the new identity of which became aware of. And then we continue to do that over and over again. And we will have an experience of evolution in that because we are always waking up, becoming aware, creating a choice, and then creating a new identity around that choice. But I'm getting chills as I'm about to say this. What the DNA is showing us is that consciousness in its original form was meant to be used as a tool, that it is just simply that state of transmitting a frequency. So I'm going to just like bear with me. So in one state, consciousness is evolving around itself, and it's always going to be limited based on what we're able to become aware of. And then it's always going to be limited based on the identity that it then takes hold of. That's what I call consciousness being used by our programmed DNA system or the two-strand DNA system. When we start to move over into the 12-strand DNA system and we learn to use consciousness as a tool, it becomes an attuning tool. So, what happens then is that our innate state of being, the intelligence of who we actually are, is running through these 12-strand DNA systems. And this is why I almost call it like a technology, because the intelligence that there is perfect. We call it divine intelligence, source intelligence. It's already stored. We already know, it's already been proven that the divine intelligence is stored in our DNA. So we have all of this information inside of our DNA. And so when we start to move into the 12-strand DNA system, the DNA starts to run frequencies into our bodies. This is what's creating our crystalline structure. It's raising the frequency of the particles of our body. We're starting to become more light. Well, what happens with consciousness, instead of it attaching to identity, it becomes the attunement of the intelligence that's there. So consciousness starts to pick up on the frequency that is activating from the DNA, and it's just having the experience of what that is. And I know we've done this in the past of the difference. We can do the sunflower exercise if that feels right. But the consciousness moves into a state of allowing. It opens up and it is just having the experience of the intelligence of source. It is not, how do I say it, identifying in the intelligence. It's attuning to it. And those are two different experiences. One is identity and naming. It takes energy. It takes energy to even go back and have the experience. It's based on memory. It's based on projection of consciousness through programming. Over here, we're in a state of allowing. We're in a state of uh, particles are constantly moving. The light is able to come in more, and we're just having the experience of what we are as source. And even as I say that, I can feel your body is turning it on because it feels different. It feels more expansive. It feels still. And a lot of us are like, well, how do I function in that space? But what ends up happening once we have the practice, how to use these technologies, is that we get to start to participate with the ascension of moving consciousness into this intelligence until we just become the intelligence. And that is a completely different state of being.
I love that so much, and I truly do get that. Um, and the allowance, again, there's nothing to do here except to go into the void, to the 0 point, to that frequency without labeling it, right? Without reaching for it. There's something about stillness then and something about coherence.
Mm.
Can you explain why those are so important here? It's kind of like the requirement of allowance.
It is. And I would say even beyond allowance is the ability to attune. And because if you think about this intelligence of source, this frequency of source is always on. I mean, the only reason we're not having the experience of it is because we're identifying in all the things that aren't that, right? Including the way our body is operating. And so this is why when we learn to begin to participate, and in the beginning, I'll go back to that kind of analogy of somebody giving you the keys to a frequency craft, and you're like, well, where's the door, right? How do I even turn this thing on? It's that once we start to learn that how to use it, how to operate the operating system that we were given, we also start to learn to use consciousness differently. And so a lot of times when people think, oh, 0 point, stillness, coherence, is that is something that we have to do, and that we have to hold with our consciousness to have that experience. But the opposite is actually true, is that we just let our consciousness actually expand and open. And then the question is like, well, how do I function there? And the truth is that with practice, you actually function in perfection, because consciousness isn't identifying and creating timelines and doing all this distortion as you're creating. It's being created through the frequency of source, and you're having the experience of that. It just is a different way of training ourselves to use our consciousness. It's going back to that, if consciousness is a tool, it's either being used by the ego or our programming, or it's being used by the intelligence of source? Which experience do we want to have? Because either way, consciousness is an illusion.
That's really deep. Let's let that soak in for everyone. Consciousness is an illusion. Okay. Um, all right. When we look at the science behind this, and let's look at the atom, and I know you're familiar with this as well. We are part of the void that is within us. That void is within us. That an atom, for example, 99.9999% is nothing. Only 0.0001% is substance, the nucleus and the electron. Everything else is that dark matter that scientists are still wondering what that is, but that's full of information. What
Mm.
is your thought on this? Is that consciousness? Is that frequency? Is that the void? Is that the still point, the 0 point? What's your thought on this?
Yeah, so okay, so this is also, I'm going to take this back to that state that we're moving into with non-gravity, and why right now more than ever it's important to learn how to use
Thank
our
you.
DNA, right? It's
Yes.
because in science, we all can agree that science is always proving itself wrong. I think that's part of how we're evolving, is that that's going to continue to be true. But the reason that is true is because we are observing particles. And the part of us that is observing a particle is the part of us that is separate from the particle, consciousness, right? So if we're observing something, we're like, let's say this is us, we're the scientists, and we're looking at this particle where there's separation because the part of it that is observing is separate from the particle. Well, we're becoming, and this is why when we are in this huge particle shift, what's creating our reality is quantum mechanics. And if the quantum mechanics is what is actually structuring our reality, like we can actually put a mathematical equation to our reality right now. Well, that is distorted. It's only part of the whole because the part that is observing and creating that structure of reality is separate from reality. So it's going to be distorted. It's until we become one with the intelligence of that matter that we will actually receive the truth of that. And that's at that point, we are no longer going to be observing it. At that point, we will no longer have that question because we become it. So it's not that we're the dark matter, and it's not that we're the nucleus, and it's not that we're the electrons. We're all of it. We're all of it all at once. We are the intelligence that runs through all things. And the part of us that's not having the experience is the part of us that is limiting the ability to explore the power that is actually within us. And that is all inside the DNA, every single aspect of that. And then it becomes fun because we become divine creators, where it's not being done through the ego, through the programming, or so through separation. It's being done through the intelligence of all things.
What is required to become one with that?
It's learning to use consciousness in a new way. It really is like, but and it's not something that we can learn to do through our mind. Right? And that's why the map of how to do that is inside of us. And it's the DNA. There are 12 steps. And each of those steps has multiple technologies that we can turn on. And when we turn them on, a frequency releases from our DNA. And then our consciousness is attuned. And all of a sudden, we start to have little like questions of, is that true? And our consciousness starts to have the experience of these technologies or of this intelligence. But the thing is, is that when we learn to turn on the technologies and we repeatedly ask for them to turn on, what starts to happen is they start to take over. And then all of a sudden, our body starts to run through more than just the two-strand DNA system. It knows what to do. And then what kind of happens in the beginning is that all of a sudden, you'll have something happen where you'll cut your finger and it heals right in front of your face. And you're like, oh, how did that happen? Wasn't I supposed to project my consciousness to heal instantly? And what you find out that your consciousness had nothing to do with it. It's your body. Your body already is the most advanced technology there is. It already knows what to do. We just have to let it do it and get out of the way. And then we can start to participate in the magic as it happens.
We want to participate in the magic. All right, beautiful. I want to take a moment right now and invite those who are watching to take note of your questions. You must have questions. And that's for Jules on day 3 this week live. Write them down so you do not forget, because this is a deep, deep conversation, and it actually is expanding the reaches of our consciousness as we allow the technology within our bodies to enliven us, right? Alive and enliven us and accelerate us. And so let's talk now about the 12 technologies. So this is in the DNA. The DNA strands each have a technology in them. Now, I know that this is a complex subject and you're teaching a longer course on this, but can you share with us a little bit about what those 12 technologies of ascending reality are?
Yeah, of course. So I won't go through each and every technology, but I'll talk a little bit about what it's doing and kind of how we'll be doing it. Because the biggest part that is keeping us from having the experience of more of what we would call our divine self. And we always go back to that place of manifestation, right? Because that's the one thing when we place an intention, we are opening up a space where we're in an opportunity of a particle shift or a timeline shift. And those actually are two technologies that you have inside of you. Or one is the ability to take something of density and break up the particles so that they can be reorganized into a different experience. Well, what would that look like? Well, that could be healing, right? On a more advanced level, it could be putting your hand through a wall. I mean, both of them are the ability to use particles. So now we're going back to that place of the non-gravity and why right now I'm so passionate. I mean, I literally everything is lined up for this moment to be able to teach this class because if I had tried to do it a year ago, it wouldn't have been time. It's within this particle shift that is happening on August 12th. This is going to make this all more possible than what it was even a year ago. We're all starting to experience the particle shift now. But what is that going to mean? Well, it's the release of gravity is going to activate these technologies inside of us, and some of them are going to be timeline shifting. Some of them will be telepathy. Some of them will be the ability to shift particles. And so this is what, as we go through, it's a 12 week, there's 12 technologies. Well, every week we'll activate a technology and we'll be doing it through your ascension map as well. So by the time that we're done with all technologies, you will have your ascension map to learn how to kind of master your own things that are coming up in your life, if you will, and how to master those. But at the same time, you're going to be activating all 12 technologies because we all can use all 12. Just because we have one that we came here to master doesn't mean that we don't have the ability to use them all. So during this 12 weeks, every week we will activate a technology. And there's just something really magical that happens from week to week. And then once it's activated, we're going to use it. So it's not just let's activate a frequency and look at what happens. We're going to activate a frequency and actually use it. So we will be doing exercises so that you can have the experience of what it is to use it. And then you will have a partner practice where you get to do it with your partner and have the reflection back and forth of what is actually happening. And so the experience, what starts to happen is that we start to break down the limitations of our consciousness in our, just like you said, we start to open up and we're like, oh my gosh, I actually can do that. I never thought that was possible. And I guess I'll just kind of leave it at that because I don't want to give it all away, but you can kind of get the gist of over 12 weeks, there's going to be so much change, not only in the way that you perceive reality, but how you interact with reality. And by the end of 12 weeks, your reality will not be the same. And that's why we're calling it ascending reality, because we're going to learn just how powerful we are when we activate these divine intelligences and learn to use these technologies that by the end you'll have not only have the keys to your frequency craft, but you're going to be well versed on how to use it.
I love that. Yes. All right. Your frequency craft. Wow, I love that analogy. Thank you for that. And I just love the sound of this. This is so exciting. Oh my gosh. Okay. So again, we'll talk more about that program. And I know there may be some questions from our audience about that program, but it's really fascinating. And everyone is welcome to look at that now and check it out and get signed up for the Ascension map and also that course. So check it out and let us know if you have questions. I am really intrigued about this particle shift coming up on August 12th, because this is such a, what a powerful week this is, right? The Lion's Gate, this whole summer is just coming around. What what more can you tell us about this particle shift?
Well, so what's going to happen is on the 8th is when the intensity of it is going to really amp up. And that a lot of it, I mean, we're already experiencing it right now. I think if you think about for a lot of people, either time is speeding up or it's slowing down. And it's like our consciousness can't quite figure out how to relate to time. And part of that is because particles are moving into a spin state where they're no longer connected to time. Because if you think about gravity and time are creating the illusion of the third dimension, those two things working together create how the particles are structured and the mechanics of reality. And of course, there's more that to it than that. So on the 8th, particles are going to start to even shift even more, and there you can see it as they're kind of breaking up, and but they're also not really being defined either. The information that I've received from Astroluma, my guides, is that these particles are already here. They really started to amp up at the first of the year, right when we moved into this new frequency. And of course, there's more and more of them, and they're called Iscampas particles. And what they're called, they're basically holding an exact frequency of 963. And that frequency is also measurement. If we could measure the frequency of source within this dimension, that would be the frequency of these particles. But these particles can only be activated through the intelligence of source. So it can't be that we can project our consciousness onto them and shape something with them. It has to be done through the purity of the DNA system. So this particle shift, our DNA is part of what is actually creating this shift. On the 12th at 10:33 a.m. Eastern Time, there will be seven, I'm getting chills, 7 seconds where all particles of the third dimension will shift into a new mechanics of reality. There will be a vibrational shift. And when we do the activation, I think it's tomorrow, right? When we do activation tomorrow, I will do a non-gravity activation so everybody can feel what it feels like in your body on a like, kind of a minute level of what it's going to feel like during those 7 seconds. Well, in that moment, everything is going to come back together and restructure into a new mechanics of reality. Well, what is that experience going to be like? Well, for some of us that are super aware, all of a sudden consciousness is going to click in and we're going to start to recognize we have a lot of learning to do, right? We're like, okay, all of that, everything I thought was true is not only not true anymore, but I have just been given this awareness of how powerful we actually are. But I also have the awareness that I need to take this and step by step because I'm so powerful that I need to honor that power in the most divine way. That will be some of our experiences. And then for others, it will be releasing a lot of limitations in consciousness until they recognize that the reality that we just shifted into is actually there. And so it'll be a little bit of everything.
Okay, that is so fascinating. I know so many people are just like ready to shift realities. And so as this goes on, this 7 seconds, there's nothing really to do, or is there?
That it's being in that just allowing, right? It's just
Allowing.
allowing yourself. It's like there will be obviously some activations and those things that are going on that day, and it's in that state of non-gravity release.
That's the thing. It's another purification. So release it. So it's an opportunity to release. Release all.
I don't even know if
Oh
that's the
gosh.
word. Like I'm hearing resistance in that. I think it's more be still, let go of consciousness. Like in that moment, just be in that state of just take it over. Take me, like, I mean, it's like
Okay.
people are like, oh, what do I want to have you to take over? And what we're asking to take over is who we already are. Like, that's the thing. It's like, oh, I don't know if I want my DNA to take over me. It's like, but that is who you are at 110%, right?
Yes,
And
yes.
so when we say take, I say that every morning. I'm like, inform my mind, inform my reality, inform my body. I submit, take over. Because the part of me that knows that I'm limited is the part of me that I'm ready to let go of. It's like the part of us that is observing is the part of us that is separate from the intelligence of who we are, because the answer to everything is there. It's inside of us.
It's inside of us. It's in our DNA. And so much of that DNA is inactive at the moment. So I would say everyone do what Jules is doing every morning, releasing, surrendering, and saying, take over. And you're saying this to divine source, that
It's
frequency of
divine
divine
message.
source, take over. All right.
Yeah.
Just let that be still for a moment. Is there anything you want to do? I don't know if Astraluma wants to come through and really assist in that little frequency boost.
Yeah, we could do a quick like um what it feels like to have your DNA activated, and then also connecting it into a little bit of we can activate the okay, they're what they're saying is they're like, stop telling us what we're going to do. Is that they're saying this is what we're going to do. They're going to activate just a little bit just of the 12 strand DNA system through a state of non-gravity so that you can feel what it feels like in your body. So I'm doing this little mini activation, there's nothing to do. And as much as you can, allow your consciousness to stay in that state of experience, not naming the experience, but just being in the sensation of the experience. That's the state that we're moving into. Okay, so I'll just have everybody shut your eyes and we'll just do a quick, just a tuning of the breath. So if you want to just take in a deep breath in through the nose, allowing it to trace along the brain, bringing that light down to the base of your spine, and just bringing that light right into your heart. allowing it to start to go through your bloodstream, feeling the particles of your body begin to lighten. And we'll just take in another deep breath, allowing that light to trace along the brain. And this time, as it hits the base of your spine, you're just going to allow it to move all the way back up into the center of your physical brain, into the pineal gland where the 12-strand DNA operating system. And then you're just going to see this tiny little white blue light in the center of your physical brain. And as you experience this light, I want you to bring your consciousness, your awareness, your thoughts into the center of this tiny little light. And then with your consciousness, you're going to expand that light, just push that light out to encompass the entire mind, bringing the thoughts into 0 point as we activate the 12-strand DNA system. Activation, 12-strand DNA. We'll first prepare body. Equation of Kapran Sheti, Atskos Rashan Kanta, Kothrush. Activation, control Qtrit, frequency pattern, Posha Taking, Rosho Thresi, bringing all particles into preparation, wave state. We'll now activate frequency, disk, non-gravity. You will begin to feel a disk above head. Activation, non-gravity disk below feet. We'll now turn on state, allowing all particles of density. You'll begin to feel your body in a state of density as it prepares the particles to shift to non-gravity. As we prepare particles of body for non-gravity, in this state we'll activate 12-strand DNA system. Roshan Kanti Karashataki. Preparation, shift of disks. Activation, non-gravity. Activation, 12-strand DNA system. Release of transmission through particles. Stabilization. Particles connected, 12-strand DNA system. Running frequency transmission. Neural pathways, nervous system. Connecting to consciousness. Shifting particles of neural pathways, alignment, 12-strand DNA system. Transmission, kasosreshi, atakan pranto kashadaki, rasakon. Transmission. Twelve-strand DNA operating system is now active. Particles, alignment with 12-strand DNA system. Conscious alignment. Transmission of understandings will continue 36 hours. Activation is now complete. All right. It's always a little hard to function after those.
Wow. Mm. Wow, that was so cool. That was cool. The non-gravity and the particles. All right. I don't want to even disturb it. Wow. Okay. Thank you. I think everyone should sit in this a little bit more because, like you said, how do we function? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for that. Like, I feel, wow. Let's just, okay, I'm going to just rest and be gentle because I'm totally blown away. That feeling was so, there was a huge release there. I felt a release. And then what took place was like, I can sense the responsibility of consciousness. I don't even want to use the word responsibility of consciousness.
That's accurate, though. I will say, like, you're almost bringing, because Lauren, this is like,
This is it.
it's like we can't play small anymore. Like, there's so much more, and it's so easy, right? It's so easy. It's
I got
just
chills now from
getting
that.
out of the way.
Getting ourselves out of the way.
It's time
Wow.
to let go
Okay.
of the stories and the identities and just start doing it,
Why
right?
wouldn't we want to do this? Why wouldn't we want to do it every day, every moment? Those looping cycles. Okay. This is tremendous work. I give you major kudos for this. And I hope that everyone is feeling what we're feeling. And we are inviting everyone back tomorrow. Please write your questions down for Jules, because I know you have questions. And share your experience. Go easy, flow easy with yourself after this activation and notice what you notice and share that with us tomorrow. Wow. That was a beautiful way to cap off this conversation, this day one of our QC experience. Thank you for that. Wow, I just want to give you a moment to wrap things up a little. Is there anything else you'd like to say or share in this moment?
Yeah, I feel like there's so much more to who we are, and it's right there, right? It's right there. And there are those that are here to experience the next. And it's not what we think it's going to be, right? It's like even that is a limitation. And the only way to get there is to do it. And that's why there are those that are of us that are called the way showers. And some of those way showers are here to ascend through the technologies of our body. And if that lights you up, I would love to experience what that's going to be like and do it together because for me, that is what I'm here to do. And I know it's what I'm here to do. And I somehow have been able to tap into this advanced system and see what's possible. And I am so excited to share it with those that know that it is not only possible, but it's probable. It's where we're going.
It's where we're going. Wow. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I know every one of us wants to know that ascension map, what our life universal law mastery is, where that portal of ascension is on our body, all of it, right? So thank you for this experience today. And thank you everyone for joining us. We're really looking forward to tomorrow and Thursday. So be well, everyone. Write your questions down, get your ascension map, and we'll see everyone tomorrow. Thank you, Jules. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye. This has been a presentation of New Earth One Network, your home for New Earth living. Access information, education, and videos on living from the heart in unity consciousness. Visit newearth1.com.